Good morning, aloha. Welcome to Kau's Corner. This rainy Monday morning, at least where I'm at. Hope where you are is much better. Hope you guys had a blessed weekend and a safe one at that. This morning, I'm going to just jump right into the devotional. I wanted to talk a little bit on time, how we spend time with Christ in prayer and reading His Word. It is very important if we believers in Him and want to know more about Him, then we should actually spend more time in His Word, reading it, understanding it. If we don't understand it, find someone who does, and surround yourself with believers. But sometimes we get so busy, and I've done it many a times, and try not to do it. Is we get so busy doing other things that we usually put time spent with Christ probably in the middle, maybe even at the bottom of our list, because we get worried about it can be anything, taking our kids to school, getting to work on time, go shopping, whatever it may be other than Christ. Sometimes we just have it in the wrong order, so to say. I mean, you could get up early, and you don't have to spend 1 or 2 hours, but it's just really how the Holy Spirit leads you in spending that much needed time with Christ and His Word. Really, as believers, that's the most important thing we should look at. And like I said, I sometimes I get in a rush and I don't do that, and you can pretty much tell when you don't spend time with Jesus and His Word that sometimes little areas of your life, excuse me, get out of whack, and you got to realign and try and get that straightened out again. But I wanted to talk about two people in the Bible. That one, she had her priorities in the right place, and the other was actually she was actually serving Christ, but she was probably it wasn't aligned, because you can spend time serving Christ in the ministry, but not actually spending time with Christ. Um, Sometimes I do it. You run around, you try to do things at the church, serve people, which is good, but then are you actually spending time with Christ in His Word, praying to Him, and just allowing the Holy Spirit to just lead you in knowing Him better? That's a big difference. And we'll just see this in the Gospel of Luke. Two sisters. Jesus was hungry. Him and His disciples decided to stop by the house at Martha and Mary's house. And you can just see the actual way both of the sisters chose. I mean, they both were right, but at the time Jesus was actually physically there in their home, which was the most important thing. Um, and He was teaching. Is it more important to sit at His feet and teach, or prepare a meal for Him and His disciples? Martha wasn't wrong at all. She was thinking ahead to make a meal. If you look at Jesus' ministry, other than telling the truth and healing people wherever He went, they were eating and all hanging out together. So this was a time where Jesus was hungry, stopped by, and again, Martha wasn't wrong in anything that she did. She just had her priorities not in the right orders. And we're going to look at that, and it comes out of the Gospel of Luke, chapter 10, verse 38. And it says, as Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed Him into her home. Her sister Mary sat at the Lord's feet listening to what He taught, but Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. She came to Jesus and said, Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work. Tell her to come and help me." But the Lord said to her, "My dear Martha, you are worried and upset over all these details. There is only one thing worth being concerned about, Mary. Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her." So again, Mary knew what was the most important thing to spend her time on at that point was to sit at the feet of Jesus, to listen to his teachings, understand it, grow closer to him, where Martha felt that preparing a meal for them was important, which for her it was. She wanted to serve them, but at that point, she had her priorities not in the right order. And it's so simple to do. We can serve Jesus in a capacity in whatever ministry or you have at your church, which is totally awesome. But when we're on our own or when we get time, do we really, really slow down, sit down, open his word, and spend time with him? And what Jesus told Martha was the time that Mary spent listening to his teachings, that couldn't get taken away from her. But when he do other things, and another thing too was Martha put herself before Jesus. When she came over and started grumbling about why Mary's sitting down, she's not helping me. So we take away, sometimes we put ourselves before Christ. We want to get seen doing stuff around the church. We want to get known for just being visible for all the wrong reasons. And it can creep up on anybody. Big church, small church. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a ministry that you're focusing on all your time and energy in. It can be something outside of church. It can be like your work. It can be your family. Family is good. To spend time with your family. Make sure your kids are going to the right place on time. You on time to your work. But sometimes you just gotta sit down, be still, and spend time with him. This was the whole concept of this event. It was a good teaching moment, probably for the disciples too, who were in the house, observing what was going on. So Jesus took every moment, whether he was feeding 5,000, healing a blind man, or being ministered to, somebody preparing a meal. Jesus took every moment and made it a teaching moment for everybody that was around him. Some people got it, some people didn't. And for us to read about what he did, we have the opportunity to really look at it, understand it, and see if we can apply it to our life. Let's not get so busy, including myself, in being service to everyone in church and not spending time with Jesus, but maybe switching that around, finding the most important time of our day and spend it with him, and then go out and be of service to whatever ministry we're serving in our churches. So I hope as you start your week this week, be careful. It's going to be a really, really busy weekend. Aloha Week festivities getting kicked off with a parade in Waimea. So if you see the signboards coming into Waimea, I think the road is going to be shut down from 9:30 to 10 to 11:30. Yes, that's what it was. 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So whatever way you're coming into Waimea, if it's past 10 a.m., pack a lot of patience because you can be in your car for about an hour and a half, not including traffic as they clog up Waimea. And then also we have an event at Imiola Church this coming Tuesday, the 17th, from 5:30 to 7. It was on the announcements yesterday at Imiola, just talking about how this election time, how some of the new laws that they want to put into place can affect the church. So if you have time, a meal will be provided at Imiola Halilayana. Come by 5:30 to 7. It's important that we all sit down and understand what we're going to be looking at when we start voting this coming November. So take care. Have a blessed week. Aloha.